I'm on.
All right, I've just spotted 3.
That is amazing.
No, it's so delicious.
Today we're going to be making a ceviche. The origins of the ceviche come from South America. What essentially that we're going to be doing here is we're curing our fish using acid, really big hits of fresh herbs, lime. Today I'm going to be doing mine with a buttermilk and some of the duck's hot sauce that we make. You can use whatever hot sauce that you like. Try and steer away from the hot sauces that are sweet. We want a high acidity count for this. This dish is a little bit of a spear fisherman's delight. You can basically use any fish you like. What I'm looking for with the type of fish that I'm going to choose to do a ceviche is something that has a really nice natural fatty and oily content, and also something that's going to hold together quite firmly. And I like the lighter flesh. It's not going to work with a piece of salmon, but it'll definitely work with some tuna. It'll definitely work with a kingfish. It definitely works with mackerel, mahi-mahi, snapper. The list goes on. So today I'm going to be using a Spanish mackerel. This is a notoriously greasy fish. This was a fish that I speared in the Coral Sea a couple of weeks back when I was up there. This was a 20 kilo plus Spanish mackerel. This is the best one I've ever shot in my life. I'm actually super stoked that I was able to get a fish like this on the deck. It was a real team effort, and it was actually a mind-blowing experience. Anyway, so I'm going to use a Spanish mackerel today. These have a really nice season here in Australia. These have a season that run usually from November through to about April, and then they head up north. So today I'm going to be making a ceviche with you. We're going to use the high acidity from our dressing, from the buttermilk, a hot sauce, and lots of lime juice. I'm going to liven it up with a bunch of pickled jalapenos, charred corn, charred pineapple, fresh onion, fresh herbs. Let's fucking make it. So today it's all about the knife skills. It's extremely important to use a sharp knife, and that's going to eradicate having any of these like blunt edges when you are cutting your onions. You'll get a different mouthfeel, you actually get a different flavor. And we're also looking to show off our knife skills a little bit. We want to chop things up nice and finely. The whole idea is that we cut everything basically the same size, so we can easily pick it up on a corn chip. You can sit out on the deck, have a beer or a spicy margarita or whatever tickles your fancy. There's 3 components to what we're doing today. The first component is a charred component. We're going to char these corn up. They already have a lot of natural sweetness in them, so all we need to do is just cook this corn. I'm just going to peel the husk back from these. And then we're also going to peel and char our pineapple, but we're going to give the pineapple a little bit of a kick along, and we're going to rub that in a dark brown sugar. And that's going to really help to caramelize and blacken over the fire and add another bit of sweetness to it. And then we're going to bring everything back with some freshness using the chilies, the pickled jalapenos, a fine diced onion, and some fresh herbs. To start off with, all I'm going to do is I'm peeling my corn. And they're ready to go. The next step is that we're just going to deconstruct our pineapple. So we're going to run this into 4 wedges. We're not going to need the whole lot. We just need essentially 1 wedge. So I'm just quartering out my pineapple, just lay it on the side, and you can see that there's a really tough center husky bit. We don't want any of that. So we're going to cut well clear of that. And we'll put 2 of these on the fire just to be safe. We're just going to get some brown sugar. We're going to rub that into our pineapple. And the fire's going to love that and caramelize and burn and make it delicious. Before we go down to the fire, we can get our knife work done. So what you're going to need is you just want to take a mixing bowl, I like a bit of a jalapeno kick. So we're just gonna run a knife over these pickled jalapenos. And then that's us there. We're just gonna de-seed our chili. This is where the sharp knife bit comes into it. We want these chilies nice and fine. So next up, we're just gonna add, like this is one big bunch of coriander here. We're just gonna take the leafy section off. Don't worry if there's a few little stalks in there. We're gonna run the knife over it pretty hard. So it's just gonna add to a little bit of crunch. Once again, this is just another one of those dishes where what we're trying to build is a few different layers of texture. Obviously a corn chip really helps out in that, but that's why charring some vegetables and charring some fruit, having some pickled jalapenos that are a little bit crunchy, fresh raw onion, also really crunchy. Like we're trying to create layers of texture here. Just a little tip with your herbs. Try not to cut them too much or fuss over them too much. The more times that you run your knife over them, and also if it's a little bit blunt, they'll actually start to smell and taste like lawnmower clippings. So a really nice sharp edged knife is definitely going to help out in this process. Next up, we're just going to do a really nice fine onion dice. So just make 2 incisions up your onion, and then you can get a really nice fine dice. And basically, when we look at the volume of what we're going to cook here, we're going to put 1 corn into this. We're going to do 1 of these pineapple. I'm just going to char an extra one just to have for later. Half of the volume in our bowl to be fruit and vegetable. And the other half is going to be our fish. What I'm going to make now is a very, very simple dressing for our ceviche. I'm just going to use some hot sauce. I'm just having a little bit of a free pour here, but I reckon that's probably about 75 mils. I've just got some buttermilk. Just to make sure you give that a good shake. And then I'm just going to season that pretty hard, because we got to remember that this is the main flavoring that's going all over our fish. Mate, you'd even be able to hear that lime being cut, the razor sharp knife. So plenty of lime juice. So just give that a little mix around. The salt will start to dilute. Just adjust your seasoning. I think it's got a really nice heat level. Just gonna give this a little splash of olive oil as well, just to bring some more fat to the equation. And that is our sauce. We're just gonna take the skin off this. We're gonna remove all that bloodline, so it's just pure, clean flesh. So it's a little bit trickier to skin when it's not on the frame anymore. And just one thing about when you're working with your fish, try to avoid putting the flesh side of your fish in the same area that the skin side of the fish has touched the board. The skin side of the fish holds a bacteria that doesn't exist in the flesh, starts to increase the process of the fish breaking down or turning bad. So I'm just gonna remove this little bloodline. And you can see that we've got a fish here that's in pretty good nick and some nice big slabs. So we're just going to cut those into ribbons. What we're looking for here is to just make a nice dice. Dice your fish and put it back into the fridge because after we've handled it, we want to make sure that it gets nice and cold again. So just me handling the fish now has warmed it up a little bit. I'm going to dice that up, stick it back in my fridge. We'll char our vegetables. We'll toss all that through, let that set for a little bit. We're going to take our fish, put it into our marinade, and then after about 45 seconds to a minute and a half, you'll start to see that the fish is having a reaction and it starts to cook somewhat. And then we're going to toss that into our ingredients and serve immediately. This side of the game is very, very simple. All we're going to do is get our corn on here, nice and blackened. We're going to do exactly the same thing with our pineapple. What we want to do here is get a nice charry effect on all of our vegetables, but we don't want it to turn to mush. So this is the time where we just let the fire do its thing. I'm happy with how this is going. I'm just going to give the corn a little bit of a flick over, but this is exactly what I'm looking for here. I want these dark charred outer shell here. It's going to bring a lot of contrast and flavour into our ceviche. So I'm just going to give this pineapple a little bit more time. That's cool, we'll let these guys cool down. So this is exactly what I'm looking for here. I just want this like charred outer, sort of like hard hit barbecue outer, and then all the flesh is going to be nice and juicy and soft and cooked through on the inside. All right, mate, we're there. We've just had a little bit of a session on the barbecue and I'm really happy with how we've got our corn. This is exactly what we're looking for here. You know, it may look a little bit gnarly, but don't worry about it. It's fine, it's exactly what we want. Also with our pineapple, like already, it's sticky and yummy. So we're just gonna take these and same again, we just cut them into nice little squares so everything is basically the same size. A couple of thick ones in there, we'll separate those off. These two guys here, they're fine. And you can see it, like it's soft and sticky and charred, pineapple-y. And you can see, like, once you've chopped, like, it may look dark, but once you expose the flesh from the inside, it's not as dark as you may think. So I'm just gonna shell this corn, and that'll do. And then I like to just give these a little bit of a break up before they go into the fold. Just throw those on top. I'm just going to give that a little bit of a toss. And we've got great colour in there. Got a couple of different types of chilies, got heaps of herbs, corn, pineapple, like it. It's feeling a bit festive. I'm just gonna grab my mackerel from the fridge. So I've got this mackerel dice, like really nicely chilled down. And what we're gonna do here is we're gonna add some of our buttermilk solution into our fish. Just give that a gentle little toss and you'll see really quickly how it transitions from being a raw fish into a somewhat cooked fish. Now, we also still want to be gentle with the fish. We don't want to knock that around too aggressively. We're just going to let that sit for a little bit and let the magic of that happen. You can start to see these little edges here. They're starting to get like a whiter, darker edge, like it's starting to change characteristics from being a raw fish. You see those little bits there? That's what we're going for. We also don't want to let it sit in there and go too far. Like, we still want to have some raw element to it. So it's partially cooked, partially raw, and then it's folded in with all of our yummy corn goodness. So we're just going to combine our two mixtures together. Now, we want it to be a little bit wet, but not too crazy because we still want to be able to pick it up on using a corn tortilla or corn chip. So, I'm just going to give that a little seasoning. A little bit more of our dressing. A little splash of some oil. It's tasting really yummy. So this is the part where you bring your piece into it. How spicy do you want it? How acidic do you want it? And how salty do you want it? I like to have it quite salty and spicy. So I'm just gonna give that another little punch up. And I'll add the rest of my dressing. And now it's time to serve it up. And this is a messy dish, so don't be afraid. It's okay. I'm just going to dress that with a couple of extra jalapenos because I like the chili. And then I've got some ancient grain corn chips here, and then a couple of the spinach ones as well. This is very much a low fuss. You can have all of your chopping jobs done beforehand, and then you can just rip in. It's really bloody tasty. And that's that. That's all you have to do. A little bit of knife work, a little bit on the barbecue. Serve it up to your friends.